next, but I don't know if it's appropriate. So maybe the next bit needs to be edited.
We'll edit that bit out later. That'll be fine. We're gonna have to edit so much of this pod.
I'm sure I'm going to be in trouble.
How's the old lockdown going, mate? What have you been up to?
Yeah, lockdown's been good. I've just been working away. Never work for the French. That's a top Mo tip.
Okay, great. So we're 2 seconds into the podcast and you fucked off the French. Great. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll edit that bit out later. That'll be fine.
No fucking off the French then. All right.
No. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Lockin. Today we've got Mo Hassan, aka Mo, aka the Assassin, and today it is the Mo Show. How are we doing, Mo? You all right?
I'm very good, Ben. And yourself?
Good, mate. Good to see you repping the old T as well. I'm liking that.
You got it, mate. You got to do what you got to do.
Straight away, the pat on the heart. I love it. Great passion. How's the old lockdown going, mate? What are you been up to?
Yeah, working's all right. I'm working quite a lot of hours, and I think a lot of people in like sort of similar situations where companies are taking the piss a bit and making you work a lot more than your contracted hours. Let's just put it that way. So, but you know, I'm glad to be in a situation where I still got a job, because there's a lot of people I know who've lost their jobs. And how's things with you?
Yeah, so I've done 2 things. I've watched a lot of NRL highlights, which has come back online, which is awesome, and I completed Pornhub. So those are 2 things that I've done really well.
Completed it. That's a big claim.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of NRL because that's come back. I know I'll get a lot of hate because it's rugby league, but that's come back, and it's really good to have a bit of like actual. It feels weird to watch it because there's no crowds or anything. So they actually put crowd noises in when they score tries. So it's super weird to watch, but it's quite nice. It's actually live sport again. So what
it's like? Is it like Sharknado, where they have the same clip over and over again? Yeah, so it's just like the same sound and the same 5 supporters just like clapping and chinning points. Brilliant.
It's proper budget, and they've got like the cutouts as well that people have sent in. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, they haven't done what I've seen one of the Japanese baseball teams instead of getting cutouts of fans, had just bought loads of sex dolls and blew them up and then put them in the ground.
Oh Jesus, that's quite a good chat.
Yeah, I don't think we can. I don't think they should be doing that. That's fine. But mate, in the old lockdown times, obviously a lot of negativity, but some positive news of the twos getting promoted, which is fucking incredible.
Yeah, man, it was. It's been a bit of a up and down season, if I'm honest. And I
got promoted.
We got promoted, and I'm really buzzing for it. And you know, I'm just trying to ensure that we keep the same positive momentum going into next season. And I know the twos are the social team, but it's nice to win and maybe try and encourage people to get their fitness up and stuff. And I spoke to a few of the boys and said, right, you know, if you get your fitness up and you become a little bit less of a booze hound, you could be an all right player. And they've said no to the booze hound thing, so it's fine. But you know, I won't mention names. But
you're great, mate. You're a great man motivator. Look, you've got to stick off the booze, and we might get promoted. But I know what you mean. The two, like, I started off in the twos. The twos is great. It's still got that little bit of competitive edge because everyone likes to win. Doesn't matter what you're doing. The beer tastes better after the game if you've won. But,
no, 100%.
It's your first season as captain. Yeah, it's your first season as captain as well. How's that? It's a pretty impressive record. 1 season as captain, 1 promotion.
It's to be honest with you, I thought the captaincy role would be easier than it is. And that's just telling the
you just think that's the off the match speech, and that was it.
Well, I just thought
off the match speech, and that'll be good.
I just thought it was turn up. You know, people will be very communicative with you, and they rock up and play. But I have to send out God know how many chaser bloody messages, emails, all sorts of. I've got like spreadsheets. I've had to change people's like numbers in my phone to add like a scorpion onto the end of it. So I do like a sort of a generic message, and then I forward it to everyone, and I'm updating my spreadsheet. So a few hours of work I actually spent trying to organize a team, and then you always get one or two boys who like bail on the last day, and then you've got a few guys who like come in last minute and they're like, yeah, I can play. So you're like, all right. So it's a bit hit and miss, and you don't always get the same team every week. But I'm trying to keep a core amount of players the same from week to week.
You feel like you're people's mum, though, don't you? Text them all the time, making sure they're bringing the right kit. You're like, Jesus, lads, you're 30 years old. Just get here on Saturday. That's all we need.
Yeah, mate. Like the thing is, some of these I see the 2 double ticks and they've read me, and then like 3-4 days later, then they're just like, oh yeah, Mo, I'm not available. I'm like, all right, cheers, thanks, mate. Or you send the chaser text, and then you have to send like 2 chaser texts. But some of the lads just they're on a different planet, so you have to communicate with them in different ways. Some of the boys have to give a call. So
yeah, mate, I'm going to call you out though, because you've given a big spiel about how you're so prepared, so ready. I remember it was a week off, so I came to play for the Scorpions.
Is it Ironside? Is this going to be Ironside?
Yeah, Ironside. I remember turned up, we didn't have a fucking ball, so we had to go to the opposition and ask if we could have a ball. So we're all throwing it around, and like 20 minutes goes past, still no Mo. 30 minutes go past, still no Mo.
Mate, it was because I went to the wrong pitch. It was because they directed me to their other pitches, which were like down the road. So I took everyone on like a few 100-meter stroll down, and then everyone's like, "That's locked." And came back and they said, "No, it's definitely there. It's at like the gate." And mate, it was a bit of a palaver. Yeah, I took Dick of the Day that day, and it was deserved.
Anyone you want to like shout out in the Scorpions, been instrumental in your kind of promotion?
Oh, there's a lot of boys who've done the graft, and there's some guys, you know, who were slackers early on, but I think they've really been instrumental in the last few matches as well. So you've got guys like Alex Tarrant, you know, who's, I mean, he put in the last match we played. He put in probably more hits than the back row did, and he was like all over. And like those last few matches, I didn't play myself because I was injured. I was sort of on the sideline just supporting the lads. But
beers in hand.
Sorry,
beers in hand, supporting the lads.
Yeah, you've got to do your bit to support them.
I mean, maybe there was a brewdog in my hand. Maybe there was. I don't know. I'm still there.
There was a brewdog or two, or a Foster's. Yeah, I'm sure. No, Alex has been great. You know, there's a lot of players who I don't think there's any player that for me stands out above the rest, really. Like all of the guys have shown great commitment, and week in, week out. And to be honest, I've got big respect for the older boys as well. And because if it wasn't for the older guys, because the threes basically folded this season, and the twos have sort of become an amalgamation of the twos and threes. And if it wasn't for those older boys stepping up and playing, we wouldn't have a team a lot of the time, and we wouldn't have, like, you know, props are hard to come by in rugby. And we wouldn't have the numbers. So I know it'd be better if we had a young, fresh team a lot of the time, but sometimes you just need the men, and fair play to those guys, you know, everyone for giving up their time coming down and playing on the weekends.
Well, I don't think we need to call out the old boys because they'll have no clue how to access this. They don't know what YouTube is, mate. They won't hear about any of this.
I'm sure they might have a kid or a son somewhere who'll tell them, "Oh, Dad, you got to shout out on the Thursday."
What the age is there? Some of those kids are like 40 years old, aren't they?
I think Abdul's in his 50s or 60s, isn't he?
Mate, big up Abdul. Yeah. I think the man's been playing rugby for so long.
Yeah, big respect to him, and I think Colin Lynch, who's, you know, he's been a key part. He's been getting fit. You know, he's still propping. He's doing his park runs, and then he's coming down and playing rugby, which like I know he did a
20-year-olds, mate.
He did a half marathon and then he came and played rugby and he was complaining his legs were hurting a bit. And I was like, well, yeah, sort of to be expected, mate. You're like what, 40s and you're just running.
And then it's you just holding on to every single ruck, like
dying, absolutely dying.
Breathing it out, struggling through. Fuck. Breathing it out, struggling through. But it's great to hear that the Scorpions like getting on well, and I know that because that's such a key to the club, having a couple of teams as well, especially when the free folded. It's so important to get a bit of stability in the twos because it is such a great ambassador of the club, and it's such like fun rugby to play. You'll have like such a laugh when we're playing with the twos, and especially when you're winning, having a few beers after the game is
it's great. Man. I think it's the twos is for me what it's about, because you've got a mix of players. You've got the guys who just love the social. They're happy to play twos. Yeah. And then you've got the other guys who have the aspirations to play in the ones, whether you know they're either like fresh to rugby or you know they've had a long stretch off and they just need to find their legs a bit. And I'm all about helping those guys as well. And I think if you have people competing for positions in the ones, you're going to help the ones as well. And that's that's what a lot of, for me, last season was about, was like keeping in contact with Barney, seeing if he needed anyone, if there was anyone sort of on his peripheral, and just keeping him up to date with the guys that I thought had standout performances for me. So, you know, there's certain players who do yo-yo between the ones and the twos. Like you got your Phils and your Mike Keeleys and stuff who are bouncing up and down. And I'm sure there's more. Heart of a Lion, Phil, my vice captain, great guy. Top bloke.
Heart of a lion, body of a mouse. Love it. Runs in. I've never seen a man charge into tackles like him. Throws his head in, and you're like, never seen you get hurt on the pitch. It's ridiculous. So lucky. Really lucky on the pitch. Really unlucky off the pitch in terms of injuries, isn't he?
Well, the boys let him down and let him get battered in a club, didn't they? On this was after Burns night. I wasn't there. Tyler was supposedly passed out in the toilet, and Jorge was.
I wasn't there. I missed it.
Yeah.
He's bottled it.
And he got his eye socket shattered, didn't he? So apparently that's the curse of the twos captaincy, and it's yet to happen to me. So it's happened to Joe Reynolds, and it's happened to Phil, and I think a few others as well. So
do you accept captaincy? Yeah, but you might get your eyes shattered. Well, I never knew about that curse, but now like thinking back, that is actually a huge curse of the two. In terms of like the Lockin pod, we always try to have a bit of a laugh, like have a bit of crack on. But this week, I think it's like a bit quite important to kind of like sort of touch on what's happening in our wider sphere of not just rugby, but society in general.
Yeah.
So I really like obviously messaged you before to check it's all good. Just wanted to like sort of pick your brain about how you've been feeling this week with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and you think that's kind of how that's intersected with maybe rugby. That's obviously what we're focusing on this part. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, really, man.
First, with the Black Lives Matter movement, I think it's a great thing. I think there's great momentum, and I think more people need to get on it. And I think we really need to help bring about change, you know. And I think it's great to see. And I saw the people, you know, rolling that statue of Mr. Colston into the river. And the great thing to see, the great thing that I saw from that was actually 4 of the people pushing were white. And I thought, that's what this is all about, you know. It's all about the young, the old, people of all cultures coming together and getting behind something and trying to make a positive change for people's lives. Like I personally work in like East Dulwich. I volunteer with the cadets, and we have a lot of kids from Black backgrounds, and there's a mix of people from different sort of socio-economic groups. And for me, it's always great if I can. You see these kids from like deprived backgrounds, but they're trying to make something of themselves. And you know, I always try and help people out in any way I can. I think in rugby, you know, when I was growing up, I I went to a school out in Surrey for secondary school, and it was a rugby school. We didn't actually play football. And then for sixth form, I went to an all-girls school in Ladywell. So
you went to an all-girls school? I'm fucking snake in there, mate. You went to an all-girls school?
There was 8 guys in my year and 120 girls. So it was even I managed to get some, even with this mug. But
That's
yeah,
just the law of averages, isn't it?
Law of average. Someone gave me a pity shag, pretty much. Yeah. So, but there was a local school, and I went and played rugby for them. And we went down and we played sevens down in Monmouth as well in Wales. And I mean, the boys were rapid. So when their handling was on, the game just works. But I feel the problem with rugby is people sort of see it as like a bit of a middle class white person sport. Yeah, it's a white sport. It's a white elite sport, and even in my culture as well, they say, "Oh, it's an animals game." Why are you doing that? But we have our own sports like kabaddi and stuff, and it's often like your BAME backgrounds. If they go into contact sports, it's going to be boxing or martial arts. You don't have many people going into rugby, but I think if at grassroots we'd really try and promote it and bring more sort of black youngsters in, then that's only a great thing. And I mean, one of, if not the best England player, he's a black guy like Maro Itoje. If I sort of believed in reincarnation, who wouldn't want to be born as Itoje? The man is just an absolute weapon, like all over the pitch.
Yeah. So I actually listened to what's it called, the Rugby Union Weekly Pod, and he's on there for, it's like an hour and 20 pod. He's on there for, and he's such an articulate and intelligent man. And I would recommend anyone who obviously wants to, because obviously me and you can chat about it, but they speak about it in such an interesting way in terms of the professional aspect of it. So he's got that raw power, raw ability, but I think even his rugby game brings such intelligence to it as well. But he speaks really interesting about how that England team wanted to kind of inspire the next generation. So I think that's really key to see players who kind of represent your demographic, because if it's a team of white people, it's not going to resonate with different people in different environments. So I think it's really encouraging to see this current England team, like 1/3 was from a BAME background who went to Japan, that are a lot more diverse, because I think that will try and inspire like the next generation to go on and play. I think more diverse teams are better teams. I think definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think it's at the school level. We just need more schools playing rugby, and as that comes, then because more of the BAME background, more ethnicities will be in the major cities, which might not necessarily have your grammar schools or your private schools, etc.
Yeah, and just bastions of rugby, aren't they? So we've got to break that. I think that's the key. You're so right.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, when I go for like walks in my local area, I see a lot of, I don't know what it is, but I see a lot of youngsters playing American football in the local green. Majority of them are the sort of black, but it's just, I don't know, maybe it's to do with the way that we market the sport and we make it more attractive to those guys, because you've seen what an asset those guys are to the England team, and we've got, I think our top try scorer Vinny, so he's representing the black guys.
It's interesting. We need to get more people involved in the sport, and I agree with you, that happens at a definite like grassroots level. I mean, our own club, I mean, we could do more. I think, speaking to Martin, who's the women's coach, he says that we're quite representative when it is the wider population in terms of our own breakdown of players. But when you actually look at our local community, we're not there yet in terms of representing our local community. And it's at the junior level where we are, but not the step up to the seniors. So it'd be really interesting to try and work out an action plan where we can take more juniors to kind of senior level to keep that going. And I think a huge point of rugby is the fact that you meet so many people from so many different backgrounds. that are very different from your own, because they're not the people you work with or you went to school with. They're people from different walks of life, and that will just help you assimilate with different people and understand their perspectives. I think sport is a huge enabler of that. So the more we can do, man, the better, especially thinking about rugby.
No, to be honest, I felt like, I've got to say, like I told people, Streatham-Croydon, I felt super welcomed. I didn't feel like anyone was judging me because I remember rocking up at my first training session, having a few beers with the boys afterwards. I know a lot of other clubs, you know, they care about what you do for work, this, that, the other. You know, you don't experience any of that. And even speaking to sort of Willie B, you know, he told me how he went to other clubs, people looked down at him because he was sort of waitering and working behind a bar. But I feel that, yeah, at Streatham, there's no one who really cares about any of that. And we're happy to take you. Anyone who wants to play, yeah, come down, get involved.
We want those players. We need those players.
We need players. Yeah.
If you want to wear the maroon, you can come on down.
That's it.
But I would encourage anyone who wants to learn more about this. Literally, definitely listen to the Rugby Weekly pod. That was incredible. But speaking of players, do you want to play the players round? Last week, Fred played it, and he got quite in trouble because he rinsed quite a lot of players in his team. So I really hope you take on that mantle and keep it going. Rinse the twos as much as possible. It's good viewership.
Yeah, let's go for it. Go on then. Let's see what happens. I'm sure I'm going to be in trouble.